you get out of the bye week what you wanted to as far as recruiting, getting your team their legs under them and everything?
Yeah, we kind of balanced our bye week time with, again, going back to work with the team and getting our coaches out. I think we made some good progress on the road recruiting, and we needed to have that week. It was good for us to get out, and I think it's going to make a difference for us in recruiting.
What was the response like going around to the high school?
Responses is great. Out and about, people know our program. I think still the reaction to Nebraska football around the country is unbelievable. I think people understand our staff and the direction that we're going, and we're getting nothing but positive response.
You guys have offered, I know you can't talk about specific players, but some junior college players. When you make that offer and you sort of pursue that level of player, what are you looking for out of that kid right away?
Well, first and foremost, anybody we recruit, no matter where they're coming from, we want to be the right type of kid. They have to be someone that loves football and is as high character a person as we can find. We don't want to make a living in the JUCO ranks, but anytime that we feel like we have a need that needs to be addressed a little more immediately, we'll take a look there if we need to. And I think there's a few spots where we feel like we could use a little bit of extra help or depth come next year.
You talk about guys who love football. Have you found that at the junior college level, those guys love football a lot, in part because they're still playing it?
You have to love it at certain places and certain levels to do what they do and go through what they go through. And if you've been to one of the junior colleges, there's some good places and they do a good job, but it's not exactly some garden spots in America either. And kids have to be really committed to it to go through that. But we found that coaching in Florida and kids in Nebraska and everywhere else too. You're practicing the heat in Florida on dirt fields, and in Nebraska you're out practicing in the snow in November, and there has to be a commitment, and you have to love it. We put in a lot of work, and if you don't love it, you're not going to be as good.
How much big picture significance do you attach to beating Wisconsin, given the fact Wisconsin's dominated this series?
Yeah, I mean, we need to get to a program where we can give them a run and compete with them, because they've been consistently probably the best team in our half for quite a few years. So hats off to them, and a credit to where they are as a program. They're going to probably have a target on their back a little bit from every Big Ten West team for a while, because they've been at the top.
How different are they in terms of what they do compared to everyone you've played on your schedule thus far? I mean, they're going to play fullbacks and tight ends, and you guys haven't seen much of that all year.
No, you don't see much of it anymore. It used to kind of be the norm in football. Now the teams that run a more standard offense are a little more of an outlier. You get used to on defense the one-back running game and one-back run fits. The run fits are quite a bit different with two backs. They got a really good offensive line. I think the quarterbacks are good. The running back, obviously, a lot of people talk about him. The kid playing fullback for him does a really good job opening up holes for him. And they got some weapons on the outside. So they got the talent to be really good, and I think their scheme's good, and it's a little unique in this day and age in college football.
What do you have to do defensively against Taylor?
We have to be in the right spots, and then we have to bow up and man up and tackle him when we get our chances. We misfit a year ago up there, and he had a couple big runs, and then he just ran through some tackles too, and that's what good running backs do, but we have to be ready for it.
Wisconsin has routinely had top 10 defenses when you've been studying over the last week or so. What stands out? What makes them effective on that side of the ball?
They've got talent. I think they're a better defense than they were a year ago, watching them for sure. Got a couple really good players that are difference makers. I'm really impressed with 56. He's all over the field. He's a pass rusher, makes tackles everywhere. He's physical. But there's a lot of good guys around him too. And they're very sound. They don't give you much easy. Stay on top of things in the pass game and get a lot of people in the box to stuff the run. So I think on both sides of the ball, it's a compliment to them. They know who they are. They know their identity, and they're really good at it.
Why are they so good at getting after the quarterback and seemingly getting three rushers?
They bring a pressure now and then. Particularly looking at the Northwestern game, there's one where they brought a guy off the field, and that was one of the plays that made a difference in that game. But on top of that, they just have guys that get after the quarterback with a 3 or 4 man pass rush, and that's a real big piece to have on the defensive side of the ball so you can keep your guys in coverage and still feel like you can get home.
When you look at what Illinois did to Wisconsin, how did they beat them? What did they do well?
Yeah, I think Wisconsin made a couple mistakes that kept Illinois around, and then Illinois has made a couple big plays. They fought them. It was a physical game on both sides. We thought Illinois was physical when we went up there, but they hit one long run with a really good running back and one long pass play, and free safety missed a play on that. And anytime in this league you keep anybody around, games can go either way. And I'm sure they have a couple plays they'd like to have back, but that can happen in this league.
What do you want to see from Adrian this week, and how important is it that he respond with a better showing?
Yeah, he just needs to be more consistent again. A lot gets put on that kid's shoulder. We need to be better around him. But I think he can play better than he did last week, and most of it's just consistency, making sure that when he has opportunities to complete balls, that he gets the ball to him, and just being a little more definitive with his decisions, a little sharper and crisper, so balls are coming out a little quicker and decisions are made a little quicker.
The last year we look back, are there areas on offense where you feel like you've got better sort of within the regular season, and you've made progress?
Yeah, I think that there's been a bunch of progress made. I don't think you can always see it because there probably hasn't been some made in other areas, and just because of the circumstances of things. But we're playing some young guys on the offensive line. I think they've continued to get better. I think we've had really solid play from our tight ends. The running backs have played well at times. It's just kind of been a revolving door back there a little bit with injuries and other things. But there's definitely some areas that we've improved, and we need the rest of the pieces to catch up with that improvement.
We talked at nauseam about snapping earlier in the year. What have you seen from Cam Jurgens the last couple weeks?
Yeah, knock on wood, the problems with the snaps have gotten a lot better. That was a real issue early, and I think that kind of upset our timing a lot early. You got to understand with Cam Jurgens, we got really high hopes for him. He's never played offensive line. He's a redshirt freshman, and we threw him into the fire because of his talent, and he's done a really good job. Some of the issues that he's working through right now won't be issues going forward, but just like playing a freshman quarterback, you're going to have to live through some of those things, and Cam's going to be a pretty good player around here.
DiCaprio played safety against Purdue because of the need and because Cam wasn't ready to go, but based on the ways he played or the way your secondary played in the game, is there a temptation to use him more back there, or could you see using him more back there?
We wouldn't have had the problem at all. Losing Deontay at the beginning of the year was a big hit for us. He was one of our best guys. That's kind of put us in scramble mode all year and kind of made us play Cam Taylor in different places. And then with Cam Taylor down, we tried to address it the best we could. DCap's natural position is corner, and I expect that's where he'll be unless we have need again.
You guys got to look at Hickman in the last game quick, and now having listed as a receiver this week on the depth chart. What do you hope to get from him? Have you seen from him?
He's going to be a good player. I get really excited. One, it's good to be back on the field again with the guys after a bye week. I think everybody just needed to get back out there. It was a lot of fun. I have a lot of excitement about the future when I see some of the young kids, and Chris Hickman's one of them. He hasn't played a lot this year, but he's really shown us some things in practice and on the game field, and we're going to use him as much as we can and still try to save his year.
How good did he block in those handful of snaps he had against Purdue?
Yeah, it's one of the things I love about Chris. He was sick as a dog against Purdue, but he wasn't going to tell anybody, and he was going to be out there. And we didn't play him as many snaps as we wanted to because of circumstances in the game and because of him being sick. But when he was out there, he did a great job, and he's consistently been one of our best, if not our best perimeter blocker in practice. So he was just able to show that in a game.
How did you see the guys respond today to the bye week?
Guys look like they're having a lot of fun out there today, which is great to see. We worked too hard not to enjoy it, and it was a really good Monday practice with a lot of energy.
Scott, is the door still open on Maurice Washington, or is it closed?
I'll talk about that after the year.
You've talked before, you've been pleased with how guys have responded to tough situations, what do you think allows your team to continue to have that kind of optimistic response and not let the way that they're moving kind of beat them down?
I think the vast majority of our kids love the game, like what we're doing, see the direction that we're going, and are really optimistic about what's going to happen. And they're enjoying being around each other. And the tighter knit your team is, the better chance you have of getting through good times or bad times.
What are the added challenges for you guys on either side of the ball when you play a team like Wisconsin that dominates time of possession?
Yeah, we're going to have to be efficient on offense. We've been in these games, and they do a great job managing the clock. I think they're leading the country in time of possession. So you can't count on getting 80 plays like you would in a lot of games, 85 plays. You better try to do what you can do in 55 plays. And that's their brand of football, and they're good at it. So usually they dictate the clock and the time of possession, and you have to be efficient on both sides.
Scott, Matt said in the hallway that he gets the sense that this team is sick of beating itself. Do you get that sense as well?
Yeah, well, we're all tired of it. Not to take anything away from anybody else, there's several games this year that if we just didn't make some mistakes, the outcome could have been different, and I think everybody sees that. I wish the team just had a little more conviction to get it done at times, and I wish we would get to a point where some of those mistakes aren't happening, and we're addressing them, we're teaching them. The guys are tired of little mistakes here and there, and part of that's having a young team in a lot of places, and that's cost us some. But part of it's just a mindset to do jobs perfectly, and we got to continue to be better as coaches to make sure that happens, and the players got to help us with it.
Scott, after the game, kind of leading off that, is that a couple of the guys said that they'd like to see from these last 3 weeks, guys, just let it rip, not worrying about making mistakes. Is there something to that about maybe guys being worried about making a mistake?
That's what we preach all the time, and letting it rip and allows you to play just a little bit faster, and sometimes just a little bit faster is what it takes to get a play executed. We haven't been very far away in several games. We haven't been very far away on quite a few plays, and just a little more is going to get us around the corner and get us over the hump. I think maybe a little bit of fear of making a mistake comes from being young players too. When those guys are out there, yeah. But you learn as a player that not every play is going to be perfect. All you can do is your best in every play, and that's how we're going to continue to try to get our guys to play.
Scott, I don't know if you're focusing on yourself, but did you see what Minnesota did to Penn State? Did that surprise you at all based on what you saw from them earlier in the season, their ability to do that against quote-unquote blue-blood teams?
I don't know if I was surprised. It was a good game. I thought it was two good teams. I think what it shows you is in this league, a play here or there is going to make a difference in games, and that happened in that game. And also in this league and really everywhere in football, when things are going well for you and you're on a roll, you can kind of catch that momentum and ride it. And when it's going the other way, it seems like bad things happen to you over and over. And you got to try to be one of those teams that gets some momentum like they have, and happy for them.
This finish is going to include the two teams that have pretty much inarguably been the most physical historically in your division. But what's that going to require, or how's that going to test you guys over the next 3 weeks?
Yeah, well, to win in this league, you got to be big and strong and physical. That's obvious to anybody inside the league or outside the league. Wisconsin and Iowa have certainly been two of the biggest and most physical teams in this league. That's the reason they've had success. So our guys are stronger and I think more capable of playing in these type of games this year than they were last year. But we got to keep working to make sure we're a bigger team and stronger team and more physical team too. And we'll continue to do that as well as we can through strength and conditioning and through recruiting. But I think our guys are more suited to it this year than we were 12 months ago.
Scott, kind of following up on Parker's question there, a Big Ten question for you. Ohio State putting up incredible numbers, scoring over 50, allowing fewer than 10. You saw them now 2 years in a row, and you also coached against them in the national championship game when you were at Oregon. What's your take on this team and maybe how it compares to some of the other recent Ohio State teams?
I said after the game, I think it's one of the best teams that I've been on the field with. There's no holes in that team. They got really good players at every position, and when you have that, players make plays work. We can talk about scheme all you want. When you got really good players, stuff's going to work for you. I think it's honestly as good a team as we played in the national championship when I coached in that, and everybody's in danger of stubbing their toe somewhere, but I really don't see it happen with them. And personally would expect them probably to be in the playoff against some of the other best teams in the country.
Scott, how big of a benefit has it been to your guys' offense to have Cade Miller back fully healthy?
Yeah, Cade gives us somebody that we can get out there and trust to be in the right spot and do the right things, and that's a plus.
Scott, did you guys ever allocate that last scholarship to this fall? What's been the thought process?
No, we did. We can do it retroactive, so pay for their semester whenever we give it to them, and we wanted to give it to the guy that had earned it and represented Nebraska the best, and I ended up giving it back to Wyatt, Missouri.
Anything else from Coach?
Philosophically, Nebraska, Wisconsin is one way, and the way that you've kind of coached and working with UCF and now here is a little bit different. What was that moment in your coaching career when you said, I'm consciously not going to be that huddle up, slow, sort of sausage ball team, and I'm going to be what I am? And why do you still kind of like that vision compared to what?
I think if you run any scheme on offense or defense really well, just about any scheme can work if you're good at it and have the right players for it. I believe in what we do. It's what I know the best. Our system can work if we have the right guys and run it well. Their system's going to work if they have the right guys and want to run it well. It's just philosophical differences, and I think there's definitely some pieces of what they do that we'd like to emulate. Definitely their size and physicality and things, regardless of what offense that you run, you need to have some of those things.
All good. Okay, thank you, Coach.
Thanks.